Hey everybody, welcome to Golf News RI, the podcast, episode 13 of our rebranded series. You can check out all the previous episodes on golfnewsri.com, or if you're really feeling desperate, you can find them on YouTube as well. So thanks to everybody who's joined us so far. And also, quick note before we get to our guest, thanks to everybody so far who's reading the high school golf previews. We're continuing to crank them out. Haven't decided yet if I want to take a break over the weekend and publish the final two on Monday or Tuesday, but I'll decide that in the next day or so. We'll see what happens. But anyway, thanks everybody for reading. Excited for the high school golf season to get started once the weather gets better. Anyway, on to our guest. He recently got his amateur status back. It's one of the most fascinating situations in all of sports, I would argue. And joining us live from Spargo Golf is Jon Pannone, golf star, club fitter expertise over at Spargo. Jon, thanks for taking a few minutes to talk to us. Talk to me.
What's happening, everybody? Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Joe. Great to talk to you again. Last time we chatted was over the holidays, so I'm excited to dive into some golf topics.
Yeah, we had you on back in November for our holiday show, so thank you so much for your support with that. But this one will be much more about golf, which will be fun. And obviously, everyone knows you're at Spargo. Go visit Spargo. They're the best, one of the best in the country, as rated by Golf Digest, I believe.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's your free Spargo.
There's my plug. We're done. Let's go.
send the check in the name. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, absolutely.
So recently, you got your, I think you said back in December, you got your amateur status back. So I just think this is so interesting. We talked a little bit about it before we started recording. The golf is going to be the only sport, maybe tennis. We thought we go amateur, pro, back to amateur. So we'll go through the whole thing. But when you get your status back, do you get like a letter in the mail from like the USGA or Riga or something like that?
USGA.
That says you're an amateur. Congratulations.
Yeah. So basically, how the process went for me was, I kind of just been having feelings of I wasn't having as much fun playing in the state opens, and giving it everything that I could to try to compete at that level. And the tournaments themselves were also kind of fallen off by the wayside. So I played the pre-qualifier for the Travelers in July, and I think I doubled my last two holes and went home, and middle of the night had kind of the epiphany that I was done. I wanted to play match play, and I wanted to play with some of my buddies that I haven't seen in a while, and I didn't want to travel to go play state opens anymore. So I sent my email into the USGA to get reinstated. They send you an email back. You basically go through this whole basically like a reverse resume of what you did as a professional, your playing career, your money earned, how many lessons you give, anything you do where you make money out of the game. So I had to put in fitting and all that stuff. And then I took about 2 weeks to hear from them that they were going to they were going to like acknowledge that I was reinstated. And then shortly after that, they gave me I had to wait 6 months. So December 16th was when I officially got my reinstatement, and I actually got an email from the USGA saying that as of right now, I am officially an amateur, but there is like a time frame where they're still like making sure that one, you're not playing, making money, and two, you're not teaching. So if they ever were to get wind that I was teaching or, kind of sneaking playing tournaments and cashing checks, they could take my status back. But the same day I didn't really know the process. So the same day I got the email, because Bob Ward and the boys and girls are over next door to us, I just went in to say hello, and Bob had gotten a call that morning from the USGA saying that I had been, I was trying to reinstate and that they'd accepted it. So it's a whole process. They take it very serious. Where Don Wright, actually, who's the at Buttonhole now, he was a pro in the 90s, and he had to wait an entire year to get his AM status back. And as he's joked with me, I made more money in one tournament than he made in his entire career, but that's still not a lot. But so I think they're getting more lenient on the am side of things, just because you got NIL deals with college kids. You've got, geez, what Sam Bennett at the Masters was wearing like fully sponsored shirts and gear as a college player. So the rules are a little bit different. But yeah, it's a fascinating thing where I've heard there are a few names coming down the pipeline, I think. Whoa, you there? Knocked my phone over. That are going to be trying to get their AM status back, that even played kind of higher levels of Nationwide Tour, Corn Ferry, PGA Tour, just because the landscape of pro golf is very different than when I started. There was a lot more opportunity to play at the lower levels, where now it's very much focused on the higher levels, and arguably it probably should be. But around New England, there's just no mini tours to be seen. So that was my big decision, is with the shop, with the responsibilities and the love I have for doing the fittings and builds. I was kind of tired of having to go travel to play, 4 or 5 events that weren't as much fun as they used to be.
So let's go back a bunch of years, because again, I think it's interesting, and only in golf can this happen, I feel like. And
Absolutely.
I mean, it's quite something. And like I said, our buddy Peter Walsh over at Golf 365 RI, he got his amateur status back. He was like a teaching pro, and he got his amateur status back. I want to say prior to last summer. I could be wrong. He'll correct me because he watches all of my podcasts. But I want to say prior to last summer, and he was able to play like all the Riga events and
Yeah.
different things. But when
He's
you
he's over at Gary Howard's gym, right? Peter is.
yeah,
Yeah.
his
That's awesome.
simulator business
Yeah.
is inside the yeah, I can't think of the name of the place, but yes. It's going to kill me now. I can't think of the name of what that place is called. But anyways,
Sorry, Peter.
so but let's go back, right? So you're an amateur, you've had success, you go to the US amateur, and you turn pro. In golf, when you turn pro, it's just like you wake up one day, hey, I'm a pro,
And
basically.
you're a pro. Yeah, it's not the coolest story.
So I guess what take people, what is that like? Because people, we're following, Davis Chatfields and Patrick and Will
Yeah,
Dixon and everybody else on some of these mini tours, and on the Corn Ferry Tour is not a mini tour, but for all intents and purposes, and we're seeing them play, and they're on TV once in a while. But for you at that time, and probably still a little bit today for people turning pro, just what is that like? Take people inside, because there's no draft, right? You're not entering an NFL draft. You're not entering the NHL
no,
draft. It's like, hey,
yeah,
I'm a
not as
pro.
much
Okay.
like that. And that's where like guys like Davis and Andrew O'Leary
Yeah.
and Will and Chris Francoeur, those guys they definitely are on a already right away much higher path than I was. They went to Q school and had success at Q school. So that's kind of the first step. Is usually the hope is you had a good career in college. You've got a kind of a good support system around you, that you throw the crazy idea of, hey, I want to see how good I am and see if I can make a living playing golf. And they say, cool, well, we got to get some money together. And, you go to Q school. And that's pretty much like your whole first year is just getting ready to go to Q school. And I decided to kind of take a different route. I was living in South Carolina at the time, and one of my good buddies was playing on this lower level mini tour called the National Pro Golf Tour, which was promising like $150,000 purses every week, 3 weeks on, 2 weeks off, traveling all over the country, 4-day events, cuts, 3 days of practice rounds, like full on events. And their goal as a tour was to be a feeder tour into what was then Nationwide, that switched into Corn Ferry. So I decided I went to that Q school and made that kind of my jump to professional golf, if you will. But the big highlight was, checking the box in the entry form to say to pay the extra money to be a pro. And that was it. Like that was the first check I made. I cashed it for like $1,200, and I was officially a professional, and pretty much kind of hung around for a few years after that. But so that, yeah, my first year was trying to play that mini tour of learning how to be a professional, where like a guy like Davis is just, he left Notre Dame, made it through Q school, man. He's a Corn Ferry Tour member now. Like he's who at that level I would consider, a full on professional golfer. I was I was a mini tour rat trying to get there.
Yeah, and obviously also Davis and Patrick benefited from PGA Tour
Patrick,
University,
thank you.
which
Yes.
is
Well, yeah, they
which is
played
a
good
new
enough to
newish thing that you didn't
newish
have the
thing.
benefit of.
Yeah, and I was also I was at South Carolina Buford, so I was an NAI player where we wouldn't even have been eligible for that PGA Tour U. So there's the for the top level guys, it's really cool to watch where college golf is now, seeing PG Tour U, and you got Michael Thorbjornsen, who's number
Mhm.
one right now at Stanford. So we've
Mhm.
got a lot of New England talent out there, and the younger players, they're so good. And so for my route, it was yeah, those guys. I don't want to speak for any of those players. I didn't play at Oklahoma or for Stanford, but I was around a great coach. My coach Shane LeBaron, um, he saw a lot in my game, and I was kind of arrogant enough in college that the arrogant, lazy, whatever it was, I didn't want to get a real world job. I wanted to play golf, and I wanted to kind of live that life, however that life was. It's odd to look back now. I never really focused on like making it to the PGA Tour. I just wanted to be a pro golfer. I just wanted to pay bills by playing golf. My route, and like when I look at where Davis and Chris and all those guys, it's so cool to see what they're doing, and like to see the success that early. They're setting themselves up for a very long career because they know they belong there, which is the biggest thing.
Yeah, it's really cool and to see them have, like you said, success that they've had, and obviously it's a grind. We all know it's a grind, but when you're at your level and playing as a pro, I mean, how stressful is it? How difficult it is to go in these tournaments? Knowing that, hey, if I don't win, I'm not getting, or place or whatever, I'm not getting a check. I mean, that's going to be obviously a lot of pressure.
It got a lot more stressful towards I spent 4 good years playing like full time, tournaments every week. Wherever there was money to be played for, I would go play it out west. It started to get more stressful kind of right before I decided to come back home and work for Spargo, and just try to reset things. I felt way looser in the beginning of just playing golf. And then towards the end, it was like, all right, you gotta, time's running out. You gotta play good. You gotta play good. And I got into just kind of a bad mentality that way. And then once took over in the shop, my first year, I actually had my best year. I finished very well in all the state opens. I had a really good finish in the Providence Open. And then, with the business, that was probably my last opportunity to go back to Q school. I only did it once my first year, and I fell flat on my face at pre-Q. It was so bad. So I kind of vowed that if I wasn't really totally ready going into Q school, I wasn't going to waste that type of money and do that again. And it worked out for the best. But yeah, my last year, I'm sorry, the first year I took over the shop, very successful. Thought it was going to be really cool and be easy to transition both, and get to play a little bit of state open golf, and never go Q school route or that next levels, but still got the goal accomplished of playing pro golf. And then the years after that first year just started getting more stressful. Trying to have a goal to play good, but never trying to play out of that state open life. Where, you're showing up at 34, 35 years old, and the next crop of 21, 22-year olds are there talking about Q school. And you're like, God, I'm just here to play. I'm just here to play the Rhode Island Open or the Mass Open. And it's like, that's not what I'm here to do. That's not why I do this. So, that was kind of the end all of the last couple of years. It started to just get not as much fun. And even when it was stressful, I loved it. It's the most fun thing to do, but the last 2 years it wasn't fun. So for me, that's why do something when if you're not going to do it? And then I started looking back at guys like Matt Parziali, a buddy of mine I played college golf against. He gave it a go for a few years and got his AM status back and has had a lot of fun as a mid am. Granted, he's had success, but he's still getting to see he's playing with all of our old buddies. He's getting to play all these awesome courses, match play events, and the whole crew seems to be be very happy playing competitive golf.
So if you had to do it all over again, would you do it? Would you still turn pro? Would you say, yeah, maybe we'll just not knowing what you know now, of course. If you
Ooh,
had to do it over
yeah.
again, would you still try it? Would you still make a
Oh
run at
shit,
it? Or-
shit, yeah, yeah. Hell yeah. That was, I always wanted to see how good I was. Yeah, just seeing where mid am golf is now is just exciting because I have somewhere to go play. But no, I don't regret or wouldn't want to do it any differently. I loved the really shitty mini tours that I played on. Man, played some really bad golf courses, stayed in some cool towns, met a lot of cool people, and played some really funky golf courses.
Like what?
It's no
What's up funky?
so Grand Junction in Colorado. Another one, Emerald Canyon in Parker, Arizona. It was like across the street from the Colorado River. You played in between, and next time we're together, remind me, I'll show you pictures of it. But it like the front nine weaved in between the canyons, and you're talking like the first hole was a 480-yard par five. Second hole is a par three. Third hole is like drivable four. Fourth is another drivable four with out of bounds, right, left, and long. So it was like a 6 hour round, but you could shoot 30 on the front nine. But it was the craziest golf course because, it's like 64, 6,500 yards where like 15 under for 54 holes would win because you could make one swing or weather would come through. We always would camp right across the street. Another great course we used to play was the Sand Hollow Open in Sand Hollow, Utah, in Hurricane, Utah. I'm sorry, but Sand Hollow State Park, just gorgeous, gorgeous red rock, big golf course. God, so many good ones. Bayonet and Black Horse in Monterey, just east of Pebble Beach, was a really good event. But yeah, and like the countless little Pepsi Tour one day events at Chico Hills in California, just this garbage muni that 20 guys would show up to play for like $4,000 every Friday. You could, if you were short on money, and you could go play and make 1,200-1,300 bucks, and you'd be good for the week.
Oh, that's quite the sounds like quite the life.
It
Uh,
was it was a good time. There was no real glamour in it, but it was a lot of fun. So kind of looking back, yeah, no regrets. The thing I would have done more of, I would have saved up and gone to Q school each year. I had that one showing where it was not good. So I kind of stayed away and was like, you know what? Until I win a state open, then I'll go to that level. I want to get good at this level, then I'll get to the next level, and just never got to the next level.
it's not easy, So I always tell people,
There's a
Tom,
lot of good players out there.
I follow these mini tours now with various people all over the place, and it's like you see these kids shooting these numbers, they're like 10 under after like round one.
Yeah, it's like,
Like,
oh god, just
and it's
another
like Jesus,
course records just getting broken every day. Yeah,
and it's just
there's
like
so many good players. It's deep. Like the talent level is very deep, and I personally think, I turned 37 this month, so I'm not old, but um, when I turned pro to where it's now, like it just seems the talent seems like it's even greater. It's very impressive. I think the game's in a really cool spot, and I mean, as New Englanders, we've got a ton to root for. So I got all the boys flagged on the PGA Tour app. They're all starred. Like, yeah, I love watching it.
oh yeah, absolutely. I have other the guys followed as well on their respective tours. So you're back to an amateur now. The summer is coming up, hopefully. It doesn't look like it today, but at some point it will.
Oh God,
Uh, so
heard there's
so
snow outside.
yeah, ridiculous. So what are you looking forward to now as an amateur? Are you looking forward to the tournaments this summer? Are you looking forward to trying to compete in some of the bigger quote unquote amateur events?
Yeah,
What are you looking
the
forward
big
to
guys.
as an
So
amateur?
the AM, the Rhode Island AM is the Rhode Island AM and Mid AM and US Mid AM are probably the three that I have my my sights on to kind of have my game right and have some fun in. I got I got a rude awakening to what amateur golf is like. I'm waitlisted for the US AM. I'm waitlisted for the US Open local. Like it's a different world than signing up for the shitty New Hampshire Open where no one cares to play. So I'll be, I'm very much. I heard the mid ams at Mesquamaket, so I personally never played there, so I'm very excited for that. But yeah, nothing. This first summer, I'm just genuinely excited to play some match play golf. Hopefully, qualify and get some matches in and see some old friends that I haven't competed against in a while. And then, from there, I still very competitive and I work very hard at the game. So, yeah, I'll have my sights on kind of some bigger events, and who knows? I'd love to play good enough eventually one day to get back into a Northeast AM. Get some USGA events again. It's been a while since really any real success of that nature. So I'm excited to compete. At least at home, that's going to be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the last time I saw you playing, you were at the U.S. Open qualifier last year. I think you played the qualifier last year
Yeah,
at Pittsburgh,
Kirkbray.
and
Yeah.
there's another one. It's back there this year, but you're on the wait list.
Yeah, we're hoping. I got an email saying that them they're still I'm still on the wait list. So who knows? I was in those two events. I really wasn't focused on. We're cranking right now in the shop and very happy doing that. So
Mhm.
the normal grind, like I didn't jump on the schedule because that was always once a certain date hits, like all right, got to sign up for all my events now, and not as serious as it is now. But when I saw that USAM was all sold out, I'm like, all right, don't miss Rhode Island AM qualifying, and don't miss US Mid AM qualifying. You don't want to go a whole summer without playing any tournaments.
Yeah, that would
Yeah,
be
but it'll be good. It'll be good. I'm very excited.
awesome. Well, listen, welcome back to amateur golf.
Thank you so much.
and go visit Jon Pannone at Spargo. He'll give you all his stories and pictures, and hopefully he'll fix your clubs too. But John,
Absolutely.
thank you so much for coming on, giving me a few minutes. I really appreciate it, and thank you for your you and Spargo's continued support of what I'm
Joe,
trying to do here.
we can't thank you enough for what you're doing for Rhode Island golf. We appreciate it.
All right, that's Jon Pannone. He's an amateur again. Watch out, assuming he gets one of these tournaments. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the basketball. Enjoy WrestleMania if you're into that. And we'll talk to you next week. Thanks, everyone.